The Menendez brothers have another possible path to freedom. Their conviction could soon be overturned after a judge ordered a review. The judge is asking prosecutors to explain why the conviction should not be re-examined in light of new evidence supporting Eric and Lyle Menendez's claims of sexual abuse. The brothers were convicted of murdering their parents in 1989. In May, they were resentenced to 50 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole. That parole hearing is scheduled for next month.
We're joined by former prosecutor Neama Rahmani to break down the new twist in the case. Neama, thank you for being back with us this morning.
Of course, Sheba. Thanks for having me, as always.
Yes, okay. The issue here is over two pieces of evidence that were withheld in the second trial back in 1996. So let's talk about these new pieces of evidence, which would seem to support the brothers' claims that they were sexually assaulted.
So the first is a letter one of the brothers wrote to their cousin, Andy Cano, detailing the abuse at the hands of their father, Jose. That didn't come into the trial. The second is a declaration by Roy Rosello, who was a member of the boy band Menudo, talking about the abuse that he also suffered at the hands of their father, Jose. So this goes to the brothers' state of mind and their self-defense argument that they didn't kill their parents for financial gain, but rather because of the sexual abuse that they suffered.
Yeah, it's interesting. Prosecutors, though, now have 30 days to respond to the judge's order. What do you expect here?
Well, I expect the prosecution to argue that this evidence shouldn't have come in the first place because the brothers obviously had access to the letter that they wrote their cousin at the time of the trials. And what happened after the trials really wasn't relevant to their state of mind at the time of the murders, right? We're talking about self-defense here. So whether it's reasonable or unreasonable, what was in Eric and Lyle's head when they shot and killed their parents is what's reasonable. Now, the judge could have gone a couple of different ways. He could have denied this habeas petition outright, but he ordered the district attorney's office to respond to it. So now they have 30 days to do so. And I expect them to say that this evidence shouldn't have come in, but even if it did, shooting your parents in the back of the head while they're watching TV and eating ice cream is not self-defense.
So there's many layers, of course, and efforts that we've been following for the Menendez brothers to get released. This is obviously the ultimate goal of this, but could we also see a new trial or their release? What are the options here?
So there's three different options here. Obviously, the quickest path is clemency. The governor can commute their sentence, pardon them outright. So they do have that clemency petition sitting on Governor Newsom's desk. Now, he says he wants to wait until the parole board acts. So that's probably the clearest path for the brothers being released. And of course, that's happening in August. And we know the brothers have already been resentenced to 50 to life. So they're immediately eligible for parole because they were youthful offenders at the time of the murders, meaning that they're eligible for parole after serving half of their sentence or 25 years. Now, if they're paroled, they still obviously have the murder convictions on their record. If this habeas petition is granted, that would require a whole new trial entirely. Now, I don't know if Nathan Hockman is going to retry this case, but that would actually vacate their convictions. And not only would they be free potentially because they're on parole, but they actually wouldn't be convicted murderers at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a doozy. I feel like this case is so nuanced, right? And it's been so many years. So that, as you were just talking about, they did shoot their parents in the back of the head as their parents were watching TV and eating ice cream. However, sexual abuse was looked at very, very differently all of those years ago than it is now, where some would say, yeah, there is a reasonable reason to kill someone that you think could continue to abuse you. Do you think timing, and the way this case is aged is a good thing for the Menendez brothers, or could be a good thing?
Jamie, I think that's absolutely right. Like, I was, born in Southern California, spent my entire life here. I remember living with this case. And if you asked me, a year ago, is there any chance that Eric and Lyle Menendez are going to be released? I would tell you absolutely not. But I think there's two things that are really considerations there. One is what you touched upon is obviously, the views of sexual abuse, especially sexual abuse of men have significantly changed since the late 90s. And of course, the power of our Netflix series Monsters, right, that really shined a light on the abuse that the boys allegedly suffered here.
Yeah, It is all very interesting. We will continue to watch. Neama, thank you so much for breaking that down for us.
Thanks, Sheba. Thanks, Jamie. Talk soon.